All right, we're going to wrap up this chapter looking finally at the distinction between nominal and real values. So this is going to be actually going to be really important for other aspects of the course later on. So make sure you understand the difference here, because we're going to see these things again in other chapters. But basically, nominal values are the values or the numbers that we are used to seeing in everyday life. They are measurements in terms of actual market prices at which goods are sold. So when you go to the store and you see a can of Coke is $1.10, that is the nominal value of the Coke. It's expressed in today's dollars. And we sometimes also say, rather than nominal values, another word or phrase for it is money values, right? Because it's in today's money values, money dollars. Now, this is different from real values, which are measurements that have been adjusted for inflation, right? Changes in average prices between years. So it's measuring the value of things in constant dollars, right? Now, the reason this is important is because over time, the dollar gets weaker, right? So I don't know if you've ever heard like a parent or a grandparent say something like, when I was your age, a can of Coke cost 10 cents or 50 cents, right? And that's because when they were your age, the value of the dollar was stronger. A dollar could purchase more things. Another way to think about it is that nominal prices have gone up over time, right? But that doesn't mean that their real value has gone up, right? Hopefully you see the difference there. The real value of a can of Coke is basically the same as it was 50 years ago. But today, the price is much higher. So that's the difference between nominal and real, right? The real value hasn't changed. The nominal value has. It's gone up. So most of the time, what we're really interested in is real values. And so in order to talk about things in real values, we need to measure anything that we're looking at in terms of constant dollars, right? So the value of using the value of the dollar, say in 2010, to look at the price of a can of Coke in 1960 versus 2020, right? Another way to think about it is constant dollars are dollars expressed in terms of real purchasing power. What can the dollar buy you, right? And so this is price-corrected GDP, right? Real GDP has been corrected for how prices change in an economy over time. So here's a numerical example to show us how we can adjust GDP for changes in a price index. In the example shown on the next slide, the GDP deflator will be used to calculate values for real GDP from 2007 to 2017. But basically, if we want to calculate real GDP, we take nominal GDP, which is expressed in current dollars, today's dollars. So if we're talking about 2019 GDP, it's being measured in terms of the value of 2019 dollars, right? But maybe we want to express it in terms of real GDP so that we can compare it to other years, right? That's the main thing, is that we want to be able to compare GDP in 2019 to GDP in 2010 or 2000. And we can only do that using real GDP. If we use nominal GDP, it would be very misleading, because nominal GDP is reflecting not only the production that took place, but it's also reflecting price changes, the fact that prices have gone up over time. And we want to get rid of that price aspect and look at just the value of production. Okay, so to calculate real GDP, we take nominal GDP, we divide it by a price index that we're going to learn how to calculate, or that we've calculated, and then we multiply it by 100. Okay, so let's look at a numerical example. Okay, so in this example, we're going to be using 2009 as our base year. So we're using the constant dollars are $2009. Our base year is 2009. And so you'll notice that the price index in 2009 is 100, and that's because the base year price index is always 100. That tells us that it's the base year. And we're going to use this to calculate real GDP. So again, we take nominal GDP, we divide it by the price index in that year, and we multiply by 100 to get to real GDP. So I would encourage you to pause the video and just practice and double check these rows rather, and verify that that these are correct and that you're understanding how to calculate real GDP. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You just take column 2, you divide it by column 3, and you multiply by 100. Okay, so here's the real issue, right? Let's look at a graph of these things. So we've got the years 1970 to 2020. And we've got real GDP is the blue line, and we've got nominal GDP is the sort of tan line or orange line. And you'll notice that in the base year, they're exactly the same, right? That's where they cross at that little dip there. So in the base year, real GDP and nominal GDP are exactly the same, and you can actually see that here too. 2009, real GDP is exactly the same as nominal GDP. And so the big problem is that if we're focusing on nominal GDP, the growth of the economy is sort of overstated because, again, nominal GDP includes the fact that prices are going up over time, and we want to ignore that. We want to look at just the value of production, ignoring increases in prices. So if we looked at only nominal GDP, it would be basically overstating how well the economy is growing. So real GDP gives us a much better picture and a better way to compare different years and production, the value of production in different years.